Greetings. My name is Thahirrah Lumpkin Stevens. I live in Conyers, Georgia, which is about 15 minutes east of downtown Atlanta. I met Dr. Vincent, this amazing man, over a Zoom call in September of 2021. Some friends of mine called me and said, Thahirrah, you got to get on the Zoom call. Dr. Vincent is amazing and you got to get on the call. I'm like, who is Dr. Vincent? I didn't know him from anyone. They said, oh, he's helping people. And they know I'm in a wheelchair and I've been in a wheelchair for quite some time. And my vision and belief and knowing is that I'm going to get up and walk. I'm going to leave this wheelchair behind. So I got on the Zoom call and I saw this man talking with people over the phone. He had some people on a table he was working with and they were being helped and pain was leaving in a matter of minutes and, just over the phone remotely. And I was like, who is this man? And finally they got him to acknowledge me and I gave him a little bit about myself and he had me do some tapping and I tried my best to do it, but my arms and hands and fingers are not operating as designed, so it's difficult to do it. I told him, he said, what do you feel? What's your pain now? What do you feel now? And I said, I don't feel any difference. So he told me, I'll be in Atlanta in 3 weeks and I want to see you. So I said, okay. So I did a lot of shuffling and moving to make that happen. So in early October, he was down by the airport in Atlanta, and I got there. And when I came in, I had to have an assistant, to drive me, rent a van, help me get there. And so when I came in, and he was working with someone, and then he asked me to come up, and he asked me what had happened. So I told him about in a 1993 car accident I was in, where I was rear-ended at a high rate of speed on the Schuylkill Expressway in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it was rush hour traffic. I was on my way to a business meeting and traffic came to a halt where I could stop because I don't drive right up on cars. And I looked at my rear view mirror and the gentleman behind me wasn't paying attention and I knew he was going to hit me. And he did, I was doing about 75. He was probably doing 65, 70. And he slammed into the back of me. And traffic was at a stop. We hopped out and exchanged information. And I noticed I felt an internal shaking. Never felt anything like it before. My hands were shaking, but inside of me, I could feel it was like my bones, my blood, and everything in me was quivering and shaking. So I got back in the car quickly, got off at the next exit, which was my exit, it was right there, and went to the nearest police station, did a police report, and canceled my appointment, went home and went to bed. Well, the next morning I woke up, I was in excruciating pain from head to toe. I hurt so bad, everything hurt. So I had to call a friend to help me get to a doctor's office. I didn't go to the hospital, I'm healthy. I don't get colds. I don't have headaches. I'm healthy. And I felt after the accident, I'm like, I'll just go home and rest and it'll be okay. Well, it wasn't okay. And so I got to a doctor's office. He sent me for x-rays and, the regular routine, clinical exams. And he eventually sent me to a orthopedic doctor, because I immediately began to limp on my right side, Never had a limp before. I was perfectly healthy, normal, and I began to limp on my right side. And so he began sending me to orthopedics and then MRIs and then neurologists, physical therapy, and I began seeing doctors. And, I noticed my balance got a little off. And I began seeing doctors. I had great med pay on my car insurance. It was $500,000. And I was seeing the best doctors, University of Penn, Hahnemann University, which is a women's university in Philadelphia. I went to Johns Hopkins University to see the best doctor there. and New York, the university there. And, just everybody. I mean, I began seeing Reiki specialists and acupuncturists, acupressure, and, everything anyone told me, because I was looking to get back to my life, which I always knew I'm going to walk again, get my balance back. This is temporary. And eventually, it just deteriorated. It was a slow deterioration. And I moved to Atlanta. My daughter had moved here with her job with AT&T, and she needed help. She was leaving a bad marriage, had just had a baby. So I came down to Atlanta to help her and for her to help me. We were helping each other because I could no longer work. I was working and doing well for myself, but couldn't do it anymore because I couldn't carry product. I couldn't walk well, and it was deteriorating. So I moved to Atlanta, began seeing doctors here, Emory University, Northside University, Dr. Payne, Dr. Sanchez, all the best doctors, they say, are here. And I began seeing chiropractors, alternative doctors, because I was getting nowhere. All the doctors said there's no reason you shouldn't walk, and there's no reason you shouldn't walk. Anyway, one of the chiropractors I saw was an applied kinesiologist, and he got me out of pain because I was in pain in my neck. I held my head down because it hurt to hold it up. And then my low back radiated pain to my knees. And he was the first and only doctor that really got me out of pain. He was an applied kinesiologist, and he told me things that had happened to me that I hadn't shared with him. And I was like, who is this man? Anyway, this man was very special. Ended up, after, I guess, 8 or 9 months of seeing him 3 days a week, he asked me to marry him, became my husband. And this man took me all over the country, seeing his teachers and people he knew that were excellent, alternative care doctors or medical doctors or whoever. So we flew, here, there, almost every state in the country. And they all pretty much had the same thing. I see no reason, after x-rays and MRIs and reviewing my history, they could not find a reason I couldn't walk. So I told Dr. Vincent this, and I was telling him what happened. And then I told him what I told all the doctors I saw as a footnote after I told them about the 1993 accident. I told them, I said, also at the age of 6, I was hit by a car coming home from school. Buick was having a shift change. So it was a lot of cars, and I stood on the corner and I waited. And I waited because I knew I had to wait for the light to change and cars to start coming. And I waited. But a car full of men pulled up to the corner. I was waiting to cross. There was no crossing guard. And the driver waved me across the street. Well, he's an adult, so I figured he knows what he's talking about. So I took off running. And the car in the fast lane, the next lane over, I ran right in front of this car. And he didn't see me, I didn't see him. And he hit me and drug me a block, stopped a block away in front of a funeral home. And the next time I woke up was 2 weeks later. I'd been in a coma for 2 weeks. And they did not expect me to live. They really did not expect me to come out of that coma. They were surprised I was still alive in a coma after that hit. And when I woke up, I had a cast on my body from my left shoulder to my left ankle. And I asked my mother, I'm like, why? What is this? My mother worked in the hospital, in the lab, and she explained to me what happened and that I needed it on because my bones were crushed, my arm was broke, my leg, my hip, everything was damaged, and that I had to have it on to help me heal. And I was like, no, I don't need it on. I don't need it. I begged and pleaded for her to have the doctor take it off. And she kept telling me, no, the doctor says you need it. And he told her, he said, she's only had it on 2 weeks. She needs to have it on at least another 10 weeks because her bones were, pretty much mush. And I begged and pleaded with my mother. They moved me to a room, and all the nurses and anybody would come in my room. I'd beg and plead and cry. And finally, my mother put her foot down, told the doctor, take it off. She doesn't need it. She doesn't want it. And he thought she was nuts. Well, he took it off, and I was completely healed. My bones were healed. There was nothing wrong with me. I was running around the hospital like nothing happened. And all the nurses said, there goes the miracle baby. And I would say, I'm no baby. I didn't understand what miracle meant, but, I knew I wasn't a baby. At least I didn't think I was. So I told Dr. Vincent that. So he muscle tested me. He used a surrogate. The strong, young, healthy young man held my wrist, and Dr. Vincent muscle tested him. Everything was strong. Everything tested strong, no matter where he touched it on his body or touched me and muscle tested him. He was strong. And Dr. Vincent did some cranial work on me, and he asked me, where's the pain? Where's the pain? I said, I don't have pain. And I never had pain, really, after my husband made the adjustments with my neck and low back, because I did have pain after the accident. From that point on, I never had pain. Dr. Vincent did some work on my feet, and he kept asking, where's the pain? Where's the pain? I said, I don't have pain. So then he had 4 gentlemen get me out of my chair, my wheelchair, and put me on his table. And as soon as they laid me on the table, Dr. Vincent swiped my brain toward my heart and said, 6 years old. As soon as he did that, my body lit up. I was in pain from head to toe, the way I was the morning after the accident. And I had not had that kind of pain in 28 years. It had been 28 years. And everything was lit up. He touched my head. I begged him. I said, no, no, no. It hurt. It was tender. It was sore. He touched my foot. I thought I was going to kick him in the mouth because the pain shot up my leg from my foot, and I couldn't take it. So he had the gentleman hold my wrist again, and he muscle tested me again. Everything went weak. Everything went weak. It was amazing. If I wasn't laying on that table, I wouldn't have believed it myself, but I experienced it. And, he said that the memories, when the 1993 accident woke up the memories of the 1960 accident. And I didn't understand it. Anyway, Dr. Vincent proceeded to do what he calls his Enoch treatment on me. And I was out. I mean, it was just, I don't know, I went to sleep, or I don't know what happened. I went out, and when I woke up again, and I didn't even know how long it had been, the pain had subsided. It wasn't as painful, but there was still sensations running through my body. It was unbelievable. So that was a Saturday. So that Monday, Dr. Vincent called me, and he said, well, where were you, where did you grow up when you were hit by a car? And I told him Flint, Michigan, because, he didn't know I was from Flint. I didn't know he was from Flint. Come to find out, he lives in Flint, Michigan, grew up on the very corner, near the very corner I was hit. He asked me, where were you hit by a car? I said, Dewey and North Street. And he said, wow, I grew up on Dewey and North Street. I still live there. He said, I know exactly what elementary school you're talking about, Parkland Elementary, and the funeral home that you were stopped in front of. He said, I could throw a stone. I could walk the area that you were hit. And I was like, what? And then he let me know that he was born 10 years after I was born in 54. He was born in 64. He graduated from the same high school I graduated from 10 years later. And we knew some of the same people. And I was just amazed. Anyway, he told me, he said, I'm going to do a treatment for you on Zoom using a young lady named Robin as a surrogate for you. And I'm like, what? He said, just be sure to be on the Zoom call. So I got on the Zoom call, and he used Robin. She laid on the table, and he took her through the being hit by the car and the dragging and I never thought about that, because I guess as soon as the car hit me, I was out, because I don't remember my skin dragging on the concrete. And I just didn't remember that. But as he was taking her through it, tears came from my eyes. I mean, I felt it. I thought about it. I'm like, my God, I never thought about, I was drugged on the concrete for a block under this car. And she pinned the car wrapped around my lip on the left side and pulled my lip away from my face. And they stitched it together. They did a bad stitch job, but I had these ugly scars on my face above my lip on the left side, from that point on, and I get teased about it. And I just thought I was the ugliest person in the world because I had these scars on my face. Nobody else had scars on their face. So I was so shocked when he asked me that. And so I told him, and he said, there's an ancestral connection because your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother in 1857 was drugged by her mouth by a horse and buggy. And I was like, what? And I didn't know what to do with that. And, he's telling me that and putting his shoes on and going to get something to eat. And I was like, wow. So I'm just dumbfounded. And Robin is out cold on this table. So the next morning I woke up. I wake up early, 4:30 every morning. I'm going through my morning prayers and affirmations. And then I noticed my body was hot. And there was a very intense sensation throughout my whole body, especially my lower body, and I'm like, okay, I feel these tingling and heat and sensations. And I said, well, he told me I would feel something, but I didn't expect to, but I was a believer then. And then the left side of my face started to twitch. I've never had a twitch in my life. I mean, I've been healthy all my life. And my husband, who was a chiropractor, I worked in his office, and we've had patients who've had twitches and Bell's palsy and different, but I've never had a twitch. So I had to touch it because I could feel it. But then when I touched it with my right hand, I could feel my jaw jumping, my eye jumping, my lip. And I was just amazed. I'm like, my God, what is going on? And I can truly say that from that point on, that was the early part of October of 2021, Dr. Vincent has been the first and only doctor to help get my body to begin to wake up. I mean, I've seen over 400 doctors. Over 400 doctors. I saw Dr. Sadie before I got married. I went to a seminar he was in. I spoke with him. He examined me. He recommended some supplements for me, which I couldn't afford because I wasn't married, I wasn't working, but I eventually got them. And I was paying over $700 a month for almost a year, and I never got any results. And I was so hopeful. I saw Dr. Sadie, Dr. Wallach again, talked to him, all of his recommendations for supplements. I saw Dr. Puklam. She had met with her. I was at one of her seminars, met with her, had a one-on-one with her, and she made some recommendations. I saw Dr. Carrick. Dr. Carrick is world renowned for waking up coma patients in Europe. They allow him to talk to the families, and if the quality of life is good, he wakes up coma patients. And I've been to Mayo Clinic. I've been, like I said, I saw even more Chinese herbs. Chinese herbs. I did Chinese herbs. I did acupuncturists, acupressurists. I've seen doctors in San Diego, all up and down California's coast, Colorado, Mesa, Arizona, Austin, Texas, Idaho, Iowa. I've been everywhere, Florida, everywhere. Wyoming, almost every state in the union, with hotel, with airline flights, rental cars, hotel fees, doctor's fees, rental cars. My husband, I've spent over $1 million with my husband. My husband's money, of our money over the years. And they all said the same thing. There's no reason you should not be walking. Blood tests come back normal. Everything's normal. I don't have any other issues other than I can't walk. So I am just so grateful for Dr. Vincent. My body is still waking up. I get sensations. He's still doing remote treatments on me. And it's just amazing the way my body is coming alive. And I'm just so grateful. I say this man was born 10 years after I was to help me heal my body. this many years later, and I'm just so grateful to be in acquaintance of him, to be on in his tribe, and I truly believe he's going to be the one that helps me kick this chair to the curb and donate it to someone else, because I'm not going to need it.